Welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, where today we have a very special video. It is the 2023-2024 Premier League predictions. Now, as of recording, it is currently 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon, the day the Premier League kicks off. We're 4 hours away from Man City versus Burnley, and that makes it quite difficult to do the predictions because so much could still happen in the transfer window. We are in the middle of the Moises Caicedo saga. Will he end up at Liverpool? Will he end up at Chelsea? We kind of have to make that prediction to make our Premier League prediction. Same with Harry Kane. It seems he's going to Tottenham Hotspur. But it does make it very difficult because so much can still change within squads. There are certain squads I don't think are ready for the start of the season yet. But we will get into it. Of course, we'll come back and look at this video at the end of the season, which I'm really excited for. Please do subscribe if you're not already. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. Smash a like on the video as well. I would be very grateful. So I'm going to do the top 9 to start with. That's, for me, it's all of the big teams, the teams I think will perform this season. I think trying to predict 10th to kind of 16th is fairly fruitless because it can end up in any order and it would just be a guess. But starting in 9th position, Tottenham Hotspur. For me, I think without Harry Kane, they're going to massively struggle. Ange Postecoglou has come in as the manager, and look, his record is good, but not at a high level. He's not a high-level manager. He's not a proven high-level manager, and he's got an incredible job on his hands because he's gone into the season preparing to have Harry Kane. And a day, 2 days away from the start of the Premier League season, he's lost Harry Kane. 30 goal contributions last season, and they still finished 8th last season, even with that. Richarlison doesn't replace that. There is no one in that squad currently that replaces it, and the striker market is looking fairly dry as well, so I don't think they're going to be able to replace him. And you look around, everyone else has improved. Everyone else is stronger last season. Maddison is a good signing, but not good enough. So Tottenham Hotspur in 9th position. 8th position, Chelsea. That might surprise people. A lot of people think Chelsea are going to be right back up there competing for Europe this season. Not for me. Look, they might end up with Moises Caicedo. They might not. I think my prediction is that he will end up there because they just don't seem to be able to give up on transfers. They just never let go. And that's fair enough, and you have to commend it. But their squad depth is still incredibly weak. Nkunku is out for a long period of time. I think that makes a big difference. He was looking good in pre-season. Nicholas Jackson, he's looked good. Can he do a whole season? Can he do 38 games? And if he can't, who replaces him? And then you've still got to factor in the fact that, you know, they've just called off the Tyler Adams deal. Conor Gallagher is probably going to be starting for them. And I just think that the depth of their squad is non-existent. They haven't filled the gaps that they needed to. And they're really relying on everything working just to compete for Europe. Whereas the teams I've got above them, most things were already working for them last season, and they've built on that. So in 7th, for me, is Brighton, who I think have actually had a fantastic window. If they get 110 million for Caicedo, that is sensational, and I'm sure they'll replace him with some Colombian 17-year-old that no one's heard of that turns out to be unbelievable. But look, João Pedro, they brought him right at the start of the summer. I think he's fantastic. Players like Matoma that they've kept, their whole defence that they've kept, I do think they're going to be solid. Obviously, they're in Europe. They're in the Europa League. Do they have the squad to compete with that? I think they do to an extent, but I think 7th is where they end up. 6th, Newcastle United, dropping off. And I think being in the Champions League is going to be difficult for them. Tonali was an expensive signing. I'm not sure he's an amazing signing. I'm not sure how he'll adapt to the Premier League. And I think there's a limitation on the next phase of what Newcastle have to do. The next phase of what Newcastle have to do is kind of change the entire way they play to more like the Cities and Arsenals and Liverpools. They can't keep sitting in and grinding out results, and I think that little transition that begins this season will affect their results. 5th, this is my dark horse, Aston Villa. And if I'm correct, that will qualify them for the Champions League, which would be unbelievable for them. I think they've bought fantastically well in the summer. I think Diaby's a great signing. They looked unbelievable under Unai Emery from the start of 2023, or even since the start of Emery taking over. I think they were 3rd in the Premier League on the form table. So I can only see them building on that. Yes, they're in Europe, but they're in the Conference League. They can put out kids in the Conference League against teams you've never heard of and at least get through the group stages, so that won't impact them until later in the season. And at that point, if it looks like they're going to qualify for the Europa League anyway, they don't need to commit to the Conference League like West Ham did this season, for example. So now into the top four, the big top four. You obviously know the teams that are left. The teams that are left are City, Arsenal, United, and Liverpool. But what order will they be in? Well, in fourth, I've got Liverpool. And again, that is based on Caicedo going to Chelsea. Last night, when it looked like Liverpool were going to be signing Caicedo, I would have switched Liverpool with the team in third. But without Caicedo, they're effectively going into the start of the season on Sunday with Curtis Jones as their holding midfielder. Now, I think they'll go and get Romeo Lavia, but that's not the same level as Moises Caicedo. I think they need a left centre-back as well. But in terms of attacking threat, the midfield, creativity, McAllister, Szoboszlai, I think they're going to be very, very good offensively. Defensively is what will cost them a place in the top three. But there you go. Liverpool in fourth. Manchester United in third. I don't think they're going to catch up with Arsenal and Man City. I think they've done well in the transfer window. They've still got money to spend. It seems like Amrabat is close to signing. Todibo potentially in the defence. Their starting 11 is good enough to compete with Arsenal and City. Again, it's the squad depth I think will be a problem. They're starting the season without a recognised striker. Højlund, of course, a bit of an unknown. Could come in and perform very well, but he's not even starting the season. Rashford will probably start up top. It's a long season, and they'll build into it, and they'll build on what was a good season last season. But I actually think Arsenal probably pull away further from them, and City are City. So then into the top two. And I've got Arsenal in second, which I hate to do, but I've got to go with what my gut feeling is. And my gut feeling is that we will fall just short of City this season. I think we'll come closer, even closer than last season, but I fear we will fall just short, especially when it comes to later in the season. If we go deep in the Champions League, look, none of these players have experienced that. And I think that's where the experience of the City squad, who have just done a treble and proven that they can battle on all fronts at the same time, I think that is where we will just fall short in the Premier League. I'm expecting a higher points tally this season, but I still just think Man City will have enough. And of course, that means City coming first again, which is incredibly boring. I pray it doesn't happen, but it's just the way I feel. And now on to relegation. Relegation. Luton Town, 20th. Look, I actually don't think the business that they've done this summer has been bad. I just don't think the squad to begin with is anywhere near good enough to survive in the Premier League. And it's kind of not their fault. I think they're in that position that certain teams need to get promoted to the Premier League, get relegated, consolidate, take the parachute payments, build and invest in a squad and come back up. And look, teams do that all of the time, and I think Luton will be in that position, which is unfortunate because I like them as a team. But 20th for them. Sheffield United, 19th. Again, similar issues to Luton. I just look at that squad. The issue is Premier League, the standard of the Premier League is just so high right now that unless you come in and do spend big, that, you know, the way that Forest, for example, did last season, I just don't think you can do it. And for that reason, I don't think Sheffield United are going to survive, and I think they're going to come 19th. In 18th is not Burnley. It is not Burnley. I think Burnley have got enough in the tank. I think they've got Vincent Kompany, who is fantastic. I think they'll be fine. So who takes 18th? Well, for me, it's West Ham United. I think they've lost Declan Rice. It sounds like they're going to lose Lucas Paqueta to Manchester City. And they're getting a lot of money for it. £200 million for Rice and Paqueta. They're spending it abysmally. Absolutely abysmally. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay. We haven't seen them go in for an attacking player yet. And after last season, look, the Conference League saved them from what was a very, very poor season. I look at their attack. You've got Jarrod Bowen, good player. You've got Ings and Antonio as the only two strikers currently at the club. And off the left, you've got Ben Rama or Pablo Fornells. It's not good. They've got no creativity in the middle, especially without Lucas Paqueta. I really fear for them. I think the fans are completely kind of, considering you've just won a cup for the first time in 60-odd years, the fan base already is back to being completely against their ownership. They're torn apart on David Moyes, and I think it's going to be a really bad season for them. So there you go. Luton, Sheffield, and West Ham to go down. And now on to some of the sort of more fun predictions. Top goal scorer, Erling Haaland. Very difficult to go against him. Most assists, Kevin De Bruyne, because Erling Haaland will be the top scorer, and Kevin De Bruyne will assist him so much. First manager to be sacked. Now, obviously, Julian Lopetegui has already gone. And I know I call him Lopetegui, and it's not his name. Lopetegui is his name, but it's an ongoing joke. He's already gone. So it's the next person beyond him to go, and it's David Moyes. It ties in to the issues I think West Ham are going to have. There's already issues between the ownership and David Moyes anyway over transfer policy, and I don't think it will take many bad games at the start of the season for them to get rid of him. Manager of the year, Unai Emery. I think, if Villa do what I'm predicting them to do, which is to come fifth and qualify for the Champions League, I think he wins Manager of the Year. As a result, my dark horse team is Aston Villa, and my underachievers are Tottenham in ninth. I think for a club that claims to be the size of Tottenham Hotspur with their stadium, with the amount that they've spent, I think finishing ninth, having just finished eighth, is unacceptable, and therefore they will be the underachievers. So there we go. That is the Premier League predictions. Let me know all of yours in the comments below. Really interested to hear yours, and just very, very excited to get the season underway. Please do subscribe. Like I said, trying to hit 5,000 subs. Smash a like on it, and cheers for watching.